just suffering because they know their kids are innocent, and they still can't really grasp it. Why do they have to go through this when they didn't do it? And so we're dealing with that. And when you talk about the viciousness of the system as it relates to the city of Chicago, you can go on forever. You can go from this aspect to that aspect, to this to that, because it's huge. And it's been going on for so long and so well entrenched until, it's going to take some major battle and willpower to make sure that justice is achieved in all those areas. And I think the group that we've assembled, are all warriors. We got a group of warriors. Men, women, black, white, Latino, and we're not going to give up until we get justice in these cases and expose, as much of the corruption as we possibly can, and educate the entire, city of Chicago and the surrounding area about, exactly what's going on with these police and the people that they work for, because we all know the police are simply pawns of a much larger system, and they're the frontline soldiers, following the orders of the higher ups.
Right.
And so, we're glad to be here to share that with you, and look forward to working with you and organizing some things in the future. Thank you.
Does anybody want to ask any questions about, ask the folks in Chicago more details about what they're doing, or any questions you had were raised in your mind as they were speaking about their work?
Okay, what is Chicago is such a big city. So in terms of trying to organize something, what kind of responses can you get from the community, from,
Well,
I'm glad you brought that up. Hold on for a second. You want to talk while I show them this?
yes. Well, we've had 2 hearings on police crimes, and both times uh, the facility was packed. We got a great response from the citizens and from the community. Um, because, these police crimes are so, and we have to call them crimes, because that's what they are. And these criminal police have impacted the lives of so many people that folks can relate to it, in all the communities in Chicago. So I think that the response has been very good. I wanted to say this though, about the false confessions, because I had written something down about it, and it's so people who aren't clear on false confessions need to understand something, and that is that false confessions help prosecutors get convictions, and they get convictions in courts where racist judges that have ties to the prosecutors, politicians, prison officials, um, help them meet quotas. Now, help them meet quotas to fill their prison. And, this is where the new Jim Crow laws come in. The nonviolent offenses that they use to lock people up for long periods of time. And those folks, those men and women who go to those prisons work for slave wages. And many of those prisons are privately owned institutions that donate money to various politicians to ensure that they get quotas filled they get quotas met to help fill their prisons, which are built in white rural communities,
right?
and ensure employment for folks in white rural communities. I mean, all this shit is just one thing, you know? And so, you know, that's what a false confession is. That's what it does. That's what it helps do. You know, it's all part of that. And it's called the prison industrial complex. So, these false confessions feed, they're the front line of that feeds into this prison industrial complex.
Lorenzo and I, when we lived in Chicago briefly for a couple of years, we did have a chance to work on a case with one of the people who, you may remember the Aaron Patterson case.
Yes.
Aaron Patterson had been beaten by this cop we referred to.
John Burge.
Making false confessions of murder. He was on death row in Illinois. But the former governor of Illinois, when he started, they had all this information coming out about these false confessions, people being beaten and stuff. So for some of the prisoners, they took them off the death row and they were just given life in prison. Other prisoners, like Aaron Patterson, in his case, he was released. Some people were released. So yeah, we had experience with that by working. And after later, when Aaron was back in the community trying to organize, he was framed on another case, and now he's in federal prison in Lompoc, Colorado. But yeah, we did have some direct experience with that. Are there any other questions? Anybody have?
So we do this annually, or is the date passed
We do it quarterly.
quarterly?
Yeah, this is our second one. We did one in July of last year. We just got this one off in February. We're planning one for July. In order to build the movement and to build the people coming, we feel as if we have to do it quarterly. They have to hear from us often. We can't do it once a year or, and expect them to continue to build that following. And this one we were lucky enough to have at the University of Chicago. And they were very kind. The Human Rights Department was very kind. We were kicked off of the campus of the city college.
Yeah. Kennedy King College.
Yeah, the city kicked us off, and when we came out of that, even after they kicked us off of the campus, when we came out at 12 o'clock, we were surrounded by police officers. This one, they were a little cooler about, surrounding the university's folks. But it did get a little hot because the university built this $700 million hospital, and there isn't an adult trauma center in that area, and it's needed in that area. And so they were protesting and trying to get the private university to bring in a trauma center, and a guy got arrested, and so it brought a lot of heat on to us. So for a second there, we thought that the university was going to say, no, you can't come, but they stuck by us. So we'll have it. We're planning on having it often. We're trying to build a march of about 1,000 people, and we hope to do that by keeping these police hearings going. And you can review them on the web. It's at Stop Police Crimes.
What's your method to reach the community?
Just like we do.
Flyers.
We do flyers. The CPAC legislation. We go door to door, knocking on doors, giving them signs saying that they're interested. We just recreated the petition to make it a political petition, and we have to get 100,000 signatures to actually put it as a referendum. So now we're taking the signatures we got on the one that wasn't one that could be used as a referendum, and we recreated it, and we're going to get voters to sign it. And like I said, we knock on doors, we stand at the L stations and get people to sign. We hand out flyers, we post them at universities. I mean, and we get students from universities to help us.
Work as intern.
Yeah, to help us.
So progressive classes in universities give these students credit to work with their organization.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's good. Yeah.
We gotta try that one ourselves.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of universities that have programs where you just go to a professor and say, hey, you know, I need some students, let me get the students.
About how many people are involved so far?
Well, we have 99 organizations that have signed on to, to support us. We have probably, you know, you always have 99, but then it's who comes to the table, right? We have probably about 10 organizations or representatives that are constantly at the table. And on any given, that, that one that we had between 200 and 300 people. The one before that, we had about 150 people. So it's building.
Yeah, it was standing in the home.
It's building. So, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to continue building.
What about the media? What's been the response of the media?
The media, you know, we have a little bit of a relationship with Operation Push, especially on the Rekia Boyd case. We're pretty good at getting out press releases. And because we have the John Burge torture case, Mark Clemens, who is one of the leaders of that movement, is pretty good at getting media. So if we want media, if you go online and you look up Repeat Boy, you'll see that we got media out in January when the Antonio Cross case came up, and it's the first time the state dismissed it. We got media on that, and he got on television. And this last time when they dismissed it on Wednesday, we got media on that. And so we're pretty good at getting media out. I can't complain. We'd love to have more, and we're trying to figure that
And
out.
how many years' time have you all been organizing this?
I'm sorry?
How many years' time have you all been organizing this?
This has been going on for about a year and a half.
Just a year and a half?
Yeah, a year and a half.
Yeah, I got involved in July of last year.
But the Alliance is older than that,
The
right?
Alliance is 40 years old.
I know,
We were
but
born
I
out
mean
of-
in Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago, around Bush Brutality.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
our issue in Chicago is pretty much the same issue that a lot of cities have, and that's there are a lot of different groups taking a piece of it, or a case here or a case there, and we have to figure out how to create that network. And that's why I was so happy to be a part of this network, because now me and Jonina have been going back and forth with emails telling each other, hey, this guy got shot over here and this one got shot over there, you know. And she told us, we deal with women who are victims of police violence, and she told us about the 2 women who were killed with the officer, the accident. I posted that on the Facebook page, and you know, whatever we need to do to help you guys get the guy, I know he's been fired, but the question is, can he get charged with reckless homicide or manslaughter? And you know, whatever you guys need from us to help you guys get that done. There's some officers that I say are easy pickings, you know. What they did is just so clearly wrong that it's an easy picking, you know. They're good at charging officers with auto crimes. They love that. That's not very hard. So I think that you guys could get him charged with that one. Jeffrey, is your
Having successfully built something as broad as you mentioned it is already, I imagine that there's lots of different folks in that space, right? There's folks who are, you know, liberals and think the system's functions pretty well, and these individual cases are just really fucked up instances. You probably also have folks on the other end, right, who are very explicit, you know, anti-capitalist revolutionaries. All in this, is that correct, that you have a broad range of political perspectives in the space, and how do you deal with that?
Well, I would say that we don't have any liberals in our space. There's no room for liberals in our space. You're gonna have to take some strong positions to sit with us. You know, you gotta be able to take a strong position. And you have to be clear on what we're facing. Or at least be very open to learning about the things that we're dealing with, you know. And so, it's is your question, how do we deal with the wide range of people? I, I think that's your question.
Yeah, is it also the case that all 99 organizations would all self-identify as left or liberal?
I would say yes. But now, in this last case, if you get something different, in this last case, uh, there was this black Republican whose son was murdered by the police. And he came and spoke at the police hearing, the people's hearing on police crimes. And he was very angry. And he was willing to like give all the resources, you know, whatever resources he could to help bring uh, these police officers, you know, to justice in the other cases, even. And so, you know, and he's leaning toward, you know, working with us. And he's been in constant contact with one of our key leaders. And so, you know, that's an interesting development. And so we'll welcome him to the table if he's willing to, you know, to do some work around the issues. Um, but other than that, I would say, you know, the organization is very progressive. I mean, if you're not very progressive, you won't fit in well. You, matter of fact, you will leave. You know, you'll be, you couldn't take the heat if you're not a very progressive person, a thinker in our organization.
And it's gonna range, you know. Like you said, the question is, how much do you care about police violence? You know, you look back to the 20s when they used to just shoot people. I never forget, I watched this video of a union strike where the union workers were walking across this field and they were in a line, all white men in a line. And police roll up in that one of those 1940 gangster cars. They jump out and they just start shooting them down. You know, there's a video online about some of the women who were leaders in the union movement. And one of the women said, you know, back in that day, if you got shot by the police, it was just part of the war. You just took the hit. You know, I personally consider myself an evolutionary, not a revolutionary. You know, I'm not gonna pick up a gun against you. I think it's just time for your mind to change. You know, it's a time to start looking at human rights versus civil rights. And it's a time to change from, you know, that slave patrol attitude that I have to beat the hell out of you in order for you to do what I tell you to do. You know, we need to move away from power and control and move into management. You know, we need to start getting officers who are well-trained and well-educated compared to ones who are just, you know, I just want to do this. We have to put honor and integrity back into that department because it's lost. When you have a department that says as a part of the policy, you can lie to them to get them to confess. And then you turn around and you want them to tell the truth. So there's a lot of stuff that we have to do to change the culture of the police department, that blue culture. You know, it doesn't make what difference what color. You can be white, black, Hispanic. They turn you blue. Okay, and so I consider myself in particular evolutionary. So I lead my my organization in that direction to come at it from the foundation, which is the culture, to come at it over the top, which is doing our best to choose the leaders, and then that group of officers who are really out there, who really care. You know, you got a little group of them that are like, I want to be a police officer because I want to save people and protect them. You know, I had an officer say, some officers honor the badge, some officers get honor from the badge. Okay, and she said the ones that get the honor from the badge are the ones that you have to worry about. ones that honor the badge are the ones that are the silent majority, that when they see a police officer do something, you gotta wonder why they don't trick on them. You know, so I want to try to figure out how to create an environment where officers can be comfortable about saying what this officer is doing wrong and not feel as if he's gonna be retaliated against, or, oh, I caught the backup, nobody's gonna come. You know, we gotta do something about that, but starting from the inside, we always do this with the police, right? And what that does is that just pulls them all together and they just get evil. And so it's like, hey, you know, infiltrate. You know, you were good at doing it with us, we're gonna try and do it with you. You know, the bottom line is to figure out how they think, why they think that way, and change the way they think. It's gonna take a long time, I know, but the pressure from the outside, just pushing them together, I don't think works. It hasn't.
Well, thank you for the information. We appreciate you guys coming out and everything, and making that long drive from Chicago. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, he's gonna take a quick break. What we're gonna talk about next is, here in, Memphis on March the 30th, it's not the, there's different factions of the Ku Klux Klan, and there's a minor faction of the Klan that is coming to Memphis on March the 30th for a protest at the county courthouse downtown. They've been given a permit to do that, and most of you, know the history of this, but folks in Chicago may not know the history of all this. This is over the renaming of some Confederate parks here in town. And Memphis is the last big city in the South that even has Confederate parks, or had them named after these people. Everybody, all the other cities in the South long ago dealt with that. But we still had 3 Confederate parks here named after Confederate so-called heroes. And the latest controversy, all this is developed because over the years, the political power structure here has cooperated with the neo-Klan types, or in this case, the Sons of Confederate Veterans. And the local political establishment here is black. It has been black since 1990. It's not run by black people, but the black people have the position, as you were saying, that they hold the position. And so they have allowed the Sons of Confederate Veterans and the other neo-Klan groups to maintain these monuments in downtown Memphis. And there have been protests. There was protests in 1998 or 2005, was the last protest. But what really precipitated this most recent event was the city administrator here, the CAO, Chief Administrative Officer of Memphis, who happens to be black. It's no big deal because a lot of them are black. He had somebody go down and pull off the plaque in the park that was named after Nathan Bedford Forrest. Nathan Bedford Forrest founded the original KKK. He was the first Grand Wizard. The Chief Administrative Officer, George Little, he had the plaque pulled off because he said, well, nobody had permission to put his name up there. You have to go through procedure to get it done. So he had somebody come down and pull it off, okay? This precipitated the most recent controversy. And of course you had the Klan, the Sons of Confederate Veterans, they get upset about it. Then the city council says, well, we're going to rename the parks. We have 3 parks, we're going to rename all 3 of them, including Nathan Bedford Forrest, who not only is his statue in this park, but he and his wife's remains are buried in the park. And this is Memphis, Tennessee, a majority black city, and we have to be insulted with this kind of thing, having these Confederate heroes in these parks, paid for, maintained by taxpayers' money. So at any rate, the city council moves to rename. They rename the park, taking the names of all the Confederate heroes off. This causes a faction of one of the Klan groups, a minor Klan group, to say, well, we don't like this, and we're coming to Memphis on March the 30th, and they got a permit. There was this big debate as to whether they were going to give them a permit, but I figured that they would give them a permit, because if they didn't, the Klan would have gone to court and sued for violation of First Amendment rights. And they would have been right. The Klan, you know, in the United States of America, white racist terrorists have First Amendment rights. They can get a permit, you know, and have a rally. So the mayor and the police chief, they, you know, there was never any, they wanted to make it act like they were really considering it, but they were gonna have to do it. They knew, because I'm sure the Klan had their attorneys lined up to go to court if they didn't. So that is what it has precipitated this most recent controversy, and that's why the Klan is coming here on March the 30th. And just to sort of, you know, summarize. Yeah, right. That's just to set. That's just to set the stage. So those of you who don't know what the background, why the Klan is coming here, that's why they're coming here. That's a short version of the history. Well, you talk about it. Renzo's going to handle a lot. You talk about what the NAACP did. You talk about.
Okay, the president of the new president of the Memphis NAACP on local television, Channel 3 and 9, actually shook hands with the person that was on the Sons of the Confederacy, and it's calling for people not to protest, you know, because it's going to be Easter weekend, and you know, people need to have a good time on Easter weekend. I guess that's Good Saturday. How good it is, I don't know. But and then we have two other organizations that want to do, you know, I think it's SELC. They want to do a demonstration across town, but they're calling for peace. Push Rainbow, you know, they're calling for peace. Then we have several other organizations that are just, you know, that they're going to demonstrate the day before and all that. But the thing is, the city officials have basically, and the police department have basically tried to push propaganda so that nobody will come out, you know. They're doing everything they can to make it seem like this is not a big deal. And they even got some white pastor that just came to town that's trying to get the Klan to do it on another day. Don't do it on the day before Easter. But this is the atmosphere that we are looking at here in terms of trying to do organizational work. I call Memphis the center of black opportunism, because we have such an opportunistic leadership that is basically misleading our people and taking our people in the opposite direction of where we want to go. And these organizations, which used to, some of them used to take protests or take, you know, either any kind of police violence action or whatever, at least get up and make a statement. They'll make any statements about anything that's going on around in the community, especially if it involves the average black citizen in the city of Memphis. And so we're saying, you know, we're saying not class peace, we need class war, you know, and that we should not, in any city of this size, and with the population we have close to 70%, you know, African American, should not withstand anybody coming in town. Last time when they came in 2005, some youth, you know, got close to them, and there was a lot of pepper spray and a lot of, you know, so, you know, kind of thing was fun. Even one of the police chief, I think the police chief, he wasn't the police chief then, was undercover, and he got pepper sprayed by his own men out there, trying to keep the people away from the Klan, you know, the Klan. And so they don't want that to happen this time, so they're trying to create all kind of confusion to dissuade people from being able to participate or knowing that something's going on.
That's the kind of environment that we're in, and because we Black Autonomy, we created the Ida B. Wells Coalition Against Racism and Police Brutality to put the word out, to mobilize activists around from other parts of the country to come here and, you know, with us to, you know, stand against the Klan, you know. And you know, we talked about who Ida B. Wells was. She was, you know, late 19th century black woman, journalist, Klan fighter, and who, you know, went to work packing a pistol because, you know, she had to deal with racists. So that's why we created the coalition, and we know that people from around the country are coming. What's being done right now is in the media, they are trying to portray anybody that wants to have an anti-Klan protest on the day the anti-klan is going to be here. Somehow we're crazy, they're trying to act like we're